to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another football video, and in this video we're going to dive into the news that just came out. That's right, you're getting a late night video from me, as the Dallas Cowboys about an hour ago went out there and they signed Everson, Griffen, and it was so late I couldn't find my hat. So you're getting the hair, you're getting the moss, as you guys like to call it. But all kidding aside, I think this is a really good pickup for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, a lot of Giants fans talked this entire offseason about the possibility of picking up Griffen. It was rumored that the Vikings were going to let him go months before they actually did, and they ended up letting him go. He became a free agent. And the Giants, I never thought made a lot of sense. Not to say he wouldn't help this football team, but when I took into account, looking at it from Everson Griffen's perspective, it never really made sense. The New York Giants, by bringing in Patrick Graham, look to be a team that's going to run at least about half the time a 3-4 defense. And Griffen, and throughout his entire career, has been a 4-3 defensive end. Not to mention, if you're a player like Griffen, getting up there in age, 32 years old, do you really want to go to a rebuilding franchise? Or do you want to go to a team like the Dallas Cowboys that are trying to compete and win a Super Bowl and are probably the favorites to win the NFC East? I would have them pegged to be the favorites at this point in time. I had them pegged to be the favorites before this, but this just puts them over the top. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys lost some veterans in that defense, going into this season. They lost Robert Quinn to free agency. They lost Byron Jones to free agency. And their weakness on the defense at this point in time, I think most people would agree, is in the secondary. A lot of people thought that they'd be taking Xavier McKinney in the draft, and safety continues to be a minor problem for them, along with the cornerback position. So they definitely could get burnt in that secondary. But when it comes to the defensive line, when you factor in that they let Robert Quinn go and they replace him now with Everson Griffen, I got to give the Cowboys credit. I mean, for the limited resources that they've had this offseason, I hate to do it as a Giants fan, but I got to be unbiased. They've had a great offseason. They let Quinn go. Quinn gets paid a massive contract. I think it was a 5-year deal for about $70 million, something ridiculous for a man of his age. He's 31 years old. The Bears definitely overspent there, and they replaced him with a guy that I think could do just as good of a job. Griffen's got 75 career sacks. He had 8 sacks last year. Now he's stepping into a situation where he's going to have Tank Lawrence opposite him. Not to mention they improved the interior defensive line by bringing in McCoy and Poe. The Dallas Cowboys have done a great job, and they have not bought into the contract demands of Dak Prescott, who I think is going to get massively overpaid. But it looks as if it may not happen by the Cowboys, and I applaud the Cowboys for that they've played hardball, to be honest with you. I think they've done a great job with their handling of Dak Prescott and their entire offseason, to be honest with you. And I think this makes them the undeniable favorite going into the season in the NFC East. How does it affect the New York Giants? Well, it's a little bit more challenging now, I guess, for Andrew Thomas, and who's ever going to be on the right side whenever we play the Cowboys. But if we're being honest with ourselves going into this season, the New York Giants were never a win-now team this year to begin with. We're a team that's rebuilding. We're on the come-up. If you're an Eagles fan, this is bad news, because the Eagles, with their cap situation next year, I think they're like negative $50 million as of now. They're a team that has to win as soon as possible. And now the Cowboys, who I think were already better on paper, just got better. There's no excuses in Cowboy land this year. The main excuse was Jason Garrett. Well, you replaced Jason Garrett. He's now with the Giants as the offensive coordinator. You brought in Mike McCarthy. McCarthy's won a Super Bowl before. Cowboys fans seem to be on board with the hire. So you can't blame the coach anymore. Now you add more talent on that defensive line, and you add CeeDee Lamb in the offseason in the draft. They've got tons of weapons on offense. They have the one major loss on offense with Travis Frederick. They did, however, draft the center in the 5th round. I think it was the 4th or the 5th round that New York Giants fans were interested in. We'll see how he pans out. But regardless, the Cowboys should still have a very strong offensive line that ranked 2nd in both run and pass blocking last year. I would think it should still be in the top 5 or 6 in the league. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe the loss of Mark Colombo, the offensive line coach, has more of an effect than people may think. But Dallas going into the season right now, I don't even think it's a debate after this move. I think they are on paper undeniably the best team in the NFC East and should run away with the division. But that's why they play the games. There's no guarantees. You could have said the same thing about the Philadelphia Eagles going into the 2011 season when everybody pegged them the dream team. The New York Giants lose Steve Smith, and everybody was, running off the bandwagon for the New York Giants. The Giants went on to win the Super Bowl after Eli Manning was questioned about whether or not he was an elite quarterback. But if we're looking at teams on paper, the Dallas Cowboys have the most talented team in the division. I don't even think it's close. The wide receiving core may be the best in the league if CeeDee Lamb is half of what people have made him out to be, paired up with Gallup and Amari Cooper. They've got a very talented tight end with Blake Jarwin. Ezekiel Elliott is one of the top 4 or 5 running backs in the sport. They have one of the top 5 offensive lines. Dak Prescott has all he needs to help him out to be a good quarterback. I mean, most quarterbacks could be in that situation and do a good job. Even if Dak goes down, they have Andy Dalton, who I think could step in and do a pretty good job. And now on the defense, they've improved that defensive line this offseason. They have one of the better linebacking cores in the league. Their Achilles heel on defense is in the secondary. And if teams are going to have success, I think it'll be throwing the football. But now you add another pass rusher to that defense to help out your Achilles heel with that secondary by being able to get after the quarterback quicker. And Griffen will do just that. Paired up with Tank Lawrence, it'll make it so offensive lines probably can't double team Lawrence like they probably were going to do going into the season. It's a sneaky pickup, it's late, and it's a very smart move by the Dallas Cowboys. It's a one-year commitment for a 32-year-old Pro Bowler for a win-now team, and you're not affecting your cap going forward. I don't know what more you could have asked for. In terms of from Griffen's perspective, Griffen looks at it like this. Robert Quinn came in last year, I believe it was a one-year deal. He went out there, he balled out, he had 11 sacks, and then he hit the open market and he got paid $70 million. And it's not like Quinn was that young. Griffen's a little bit older. He'll be 33 next year. He probably wouldn't get a 4 or 5 year contract or whatever Quinn got, but he may get a lucrative 2 or 3 year deal if he's able to produce the same way that Quinn did with all the help that he has on that defensive line. I think it's a great fit for the Cowboys, and I think it's an even better fit for Everson Griffen. He gets to go to one of the top 3, 4, 5 teams in the NFC and has an opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl, and he's in a situation that fits his skill set. It's a 4-3 defensive line. He's got talent on the other side. He won't see many double teams. As a Giants fan, I can't say I'm happy about this move. It definitely makes the Dallas Cowboys better, but the good news is it's only for 1 year, and like I said at the top of the video, the New York Giants are not a win-now team to begin with. We're rebuilding, we're getting better, but I don't think we're there yet. The team that this affects the most, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are in an arms race with the Dallas Cowboys to try to stay atop the division in the NFC East, and it will not be easy this year for the Eagles to maintain their dominance in the division. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.